When it comes to intimacy, not all men are the same. Some go the extra mile to truly satisfy their partner, and one of the biggest signs of that is when a man confidently licks the vagina during sex. These men are often seen as more passionate, more attentive, and more connected in the bedroom. In this video, we'll dive into why men who do this stand out, and what it really says about their confidence, love, and sexual energy. When discussing intimacy in relationships, it's essential to understand that true intimacy is not limited to physical closeness, but extends to emotional bonding, trust, and the unspoken language of care and attention. And this is exactly where men who lick the vagina during sex stand out, as they demonstrate a unique level of dedication toward their partner's pleasure and comfort, because the act itself is not just about stimulation, but about prioritizing the woman's needs, focusing entirely on her satisfaction, and creating an environment where she feels desired, respected, and cherished. Unlike penetrative sex, which can sometimes become centered around male climax, oral sex through licking shifts the spotlight completely to the woman, demanding patience, attentiveness, and an understanding of her body's responses. And this shift instantly creates deeper intimacy because she realizes her partner is willing to invest time and effort into her pleasure without rushing, without ego, and without expecting immediate reciprocation. This act also involves vulnerability on both sides, because for the woman, allowing her partner to be that close to her most private and sensitive area requires trust, while for the man, choosing to embrace the natural taste, texture, and presence of his partner shows acceptance, confidence, and a willingness to fully connect. That vulnerability opens the door to stronger bonding, because when two partners strip away inhibitions and openly indulge in giving and receiving, they create a powerful emotional link that often extends beyond the bedroom. Moreover, the physical closeness of licking, the breathing, the eye contact, the skin nearness activates oxytocin, also known as the love hormone, which further strengthens emotional attachment and promotes feelings of safety and affection, turning sex into an experience that unites both partners on a deeper level. Women often interpret this act as proof of generosity, because it shows the man is not just focused on his own release, but genuinely enjoys giving pleasure, and this generosity resonates as emotional intimacy, making her more likely to trust him, communicate openly, and reciprocate affection. Men who do this are often described as more passionate, because their actions highlight that they value their partner's happiness as much as their own, and this sense of balance builds lasting closeness. Beyond the immediate sexual act, the impact of this kind of intimacy ripples into daily life, as couples who share such vulnerability and attention in bed tend to report stronger emotional bonds, more affectionate behavior, and higher relationship satisfaction. On the flip side, men who refuse to engage in oral sex often unintentionally create distance, as their partner may feel neglected, less valued, or undesired, which can weaken intimacy over time. Therefore, the willingness to lick the vagina is more than a sexual technique. It's a reflection of emotional intelligence, selflessness, and a man's ability to prioritize shared connection over ego-driven satisfaction. And that is why these men are often remembered and valued as the most intimate and emotionally present lovers, turning physical desire into a bond that feeds both body and soul. Confidence in the bedroom is one of the most attractive qualities a man can have, and when it comes to oral sex, particularly licking the vagina, it is often perceived as a bold display of selfish assurance that sets certain men apart from the rest, because not every man is willing to go beyond traditional acts of intimacy and place his full focus on his partner's sexual pleasure, yet those who do send a clear message that they are comfortable with their sexuality, unafraid of vulnerability, and strong enough to take pride in satisfying their partner completely. Many women interpret this act as proof of confidence because it requires a man to be close, to embrace the natural sense, tastes, and textures of his partner's most intimate area without hesitation, and doing so signals that he is not embarrassed, ashamed, or insecure, but rather proud and enthusiastic to explore her body in its entirety, which naturally elevates his status as a lover. Unlike men who shy away due to fear of judgment, lack of knowledge, or insecurity, men who lick confidently showcase that they are knowledgeable, skilled, and comfortable taking charge in ways that create excitement for their partner, and this comfort translates directly into more fulfilling sexual experiences for both. Women often feel more relaxed and more confident in themselves when their partner demonstrates such boldness, because it reassures them that they are desired in their natural form, without the need for perfection or insecurity, and this creates a feedback loop where her confidence grows alongside his, resulting in deeper, more passionate encounters. This act also demonstrates that the man is secure enough not to view sex as a one-sided conquest, but as an experience to be savored and shared, and that security is the hallmark of a confident lover who values quality over ego-driven performance. From a psychological perspective, confidence in the bedroom is contagious because when a man approaches oral sex without hesitation, with patience and pride, his partner feels more free to express her desires, communicate openly, and even experiment more, knowing that he is not easily intimidated or turned off by the raw realities of intimacy. That mutual freedom breaks down barriers of shyness and builds a dynamic where exploration and satisfaction become the central goals. Furthermore, confidence is not only about action but also about energy, and women can often sense when a man takes genuine pride in giving oral pleasure, which turns a simple act into a powerful statement of masculine strength combined with sensitivity. This perception of confidence extends beyond sex too, because women tend to associate men who are bold and skilled in the bedroom with greater self-assurance in other areas of life, from relationships to leadership qualities, making oral sex not just a technique but a mirror of personality. On the other hand, men who avoid or perform such acts half-heartedly often come across as insecure, inexperienced, or overly self-focused, which weakens the attraction and fails to leave a lasting impression. In contrast, men who embrace licking as an art form radiate the message that they are secure in their masculinity, that they see no weakness in prioritizing a woman's pleasure, and that they are capable of leading confidently while also being generous, and this combination of traits is what makes them unforgettable lovers. In summary, the simple act of licking the vagina, when done with genuine enthusiasm and care, is not only about giving physical satisfaction, but also about projecting confidence, strength, and openness, and this is why men who engage in it are often remembered as the most confident, attractive, and desirable partners both in and out of the bedroom. When it comes to long-term relationships, one of the most important ingredients that keeps partners connected, happy, and committed to one another is sexual satisfaction. And this is precisely where men who lick the vagina during sex create a powerful impact because their actions go far beyond the immediate act of giving pleasure. They build trust, intimacy, and emotional connection that significantly increase overall relationship satisfaction. Couples who prioritize mutual pleasure tend to have stronger bonds because sex becomes more than just physical release. It transforms into an act of care, generosity, and communication. And when a man invests his time and energy into pleasuring his partner through oral sex, it sends a loud and clear message that he values her desires as much as his own. Women who experience this level of attention often feel more cherished and respected, which not only makes them more satisfied in bed, but also more affectionate, supportive, and emotionally invested in the relationship outside of it. Research in sexual psychology consistently shows that couples who regularly practice oral sex, especially when men take the lead in giving it, report higher levels of relationship happiness, and lower chances of conflict rooted in sexual dissatisfaction. And the reason is simple: when both partners' needs are met, resentment doesn't have room to grow. Unlike relationships where sex becomes routine, one-sided, or rushed, those where oral sex is prioritized tend to stay exciting and emotionally fulfilling because it reflects a willingness to try new things, to be patient, and to create experiences that go beyond the basics. Furthermore, men who lick the vagina demonstrate that they are not afraid to slow down, explore, and give their partner the time she needs to reach climax, and this patience plays a huge role in bridging the orgasm gap, which is one of the most common causes of dissatisfaction in heterosexual relationships. Women often take longer to reach orgasm compared to men, and by focusing on oral sex, a man not only increases her chances of climax, but also shows her that her pleasure is equally important, and that equality strengthens the foundation of the relationship. Over time, this balance leads to more open communication about desires, fantasies, and preferences, because a woman who feels satisfied and cared for is far more likely to express herself without fear of judgment, and that openness strengthens the couple's emotional connection just as much as their physical bond. On the flip side, when a partner consistently feels ignored, rushed, or unsatisfied, it often creates frustration that spills into other aspects of the relationship, causing arguments, distance, or even infidelity, which is why the willingness to go down and give pleasure through licking is not just a sexual choice, it's a long-term investment in the relationship's success. Couples who engage in this level of intimate generosity often find that their love life stays fresh, playful, and exciting, and that excitement translates into more happiness in day-to-day interactions. Simply put, when a woman feels truly satisfied and valued in bed, she's more likely to show affection, appreciation, and loyalty to her partner, creating a positive cycle of love and satisfaction that benefits both. This is why men who lick the vagina are often seen not only as better lovers, but as better partners, because their actions directly contribute to stronger, healthier, and more satisfying relationships that stand the test of time. Generosity in intimacy is one of the most powerful qualities that can transform a man from being just a sexual partner into being someone unforgettable. And this is exactly why men who lick the vagina during sex are often seen as generous partners, because the act itself is rooted in giving rather than taking, in focusing on the partner's needs rather than racing toward one's own climax, and in creating an experience where the woman feels cherished, prioritized, and completely satisfied. In the sexual world, selfishness can easily ruin connection, as many women complain about men who focus only on penetration, rush through the act, or neglect their partner's arousal and orgasm, leaving her unfulfilled and disconnected. But men who willingly and enthusiastically perform oral sex break this cycle by devoting time, energy, and attention to their partner's pleasure without hesitation. This willingness to give creates a sense of generosity that women deeply admire, because it shows a man is not just physically present but emotionally invested in ensuring her satisfaction, and that kind of care resonates as love, respect, and true partnership. Oral sex, especially licking, requires patience and attentiveness, because the man must read her body language, listen to her responses, and adjust his technique to give her the best possible experience. And this attentiveness is a reflection of generosity at its core, since it's about adapting to what she needs rather than pushing forward with what he wants. Women often interpret this behavior as proof that their partner values them as equals, that he wants her to feel good as much as he does, and that he is willing to put in effort to make her happy, and that perception naturally strengthens intimacy and emotional bonding. Beyond the bedroom, this kind of sexual generosity often mirrors overall personality traits, because a man who is willing to give generously in sex is often more giving, patient, and supportive in other aspects of life, which is why many women see this behavior as a positive reflection of man's character, not just his technique. It is also important to recognize that generosity in sex encourages reciprocity, because when a woman feels truly satisfied and cared for, she is more likely to return the favor, whether by giving pleasure, showing affection, or being more adventurous in bed, creating a cycle of giving and receiving that keeps intimacy alive and exciting. On the other hand, a lack of generosity often leads to frustration, resentment, and even distance in relationships, because when one partner consistently feels neglected or undervalued, it becomes difficult for her to remain engaged or enthusiastic, which can weaken both emotional and sexual connection over time. Men who lick the vagina break this barrier completely because their actions are a direct demonstration of selflessness, attention, and generosity, and this creates a dynamic where both partners feel equally important and equally satisfied. Over time, this not only improves sexual compatibility, but also deepens the emotional bond, because a woman who feels her partner is generous in the bedroom is far more likely to trust him, open up to him, and stay committed to him. In short, generosity in sex is not just about technique, it's about mindset. And men who show their generosity by licking the vagina during sex are seen as attentive, caring, and emotionally intelligent partners who prioritize connection over selfishness. And it is this generosity that makes them stand out as some of the most fulfilling lovers a woman can ever have. One of the often overlooked aspects of sexual intimacy is the importance of health and hygiene, and men who lick the vagina during sex are frequently seen as more aware and responsible in this area, because the act itself requires trust, cleanliness, and an understanding of how to maintain a safe and pleasurable experience for both partners, and this awareness not only improves the physical side of sex, but also builds respect and comfort within the relationship. For many women, allowing a man that close to such a sensitive and intimate part of the body is an act of deep vulnerability, and they feel most comfortable when their partner demonstrates good hygiene, from grooming to oral cleanliness, which shows that he respects not only his own body but also hers, and this attention to detail reflects a level of maturity and care that enhances intimacy. Men who take hygiene seriously before engaging in oral sex often earn more trust and appreciation, because their actions say, "I care about your comfort and safety as much as the pleasure we're about to share." This mindset separates them from men who might neglect such details, leaving their partner feeling uneasy or hesitant, and instead creates an environment where she feels safe, valued, and respected. Beyond personal grooming, health awareness also extends to the understanding of sexual safety, such as recognizing the importance of mutual consent, being aware of potential infections, and practicing safe sex when necessary. And men who embrace licking as part of their sexual expression tend to educate themselves about these issues, because they understand that oral sex involves direct contact and requires a level of mindfulness that goes beyond casual interaction. Women often perceive this as a sign of responsibility, because it shows that the man is not reckless but instead thoughtful and considerate, and this not only builds sexual satisfaction but also emotional trust. Furthermore, hygiene in intimacy is strongly linked to confidence, because when a man demonstrates that he is clean, fresh, and prepared, his partner feels more comfortable opening up and enjoying the moment without fear of discomfort or embarrassment, and this makes the experience smoother, more passionate, and far more satisfying for both. On the flip side, a lack of hygiene can completely kill the mood, because no matter how skilled or enthusiastic a partner may be, if basic cleanliness is missing, the experience becomes uncomfortable and even off-putting, which can damage attraction and intimacy over time. Men who show they are health and hygiene conscious before engaging in oral sex eliminate this problem entirely, because they approach intimacy with care, preparation, and respect, and this automatically makes them stand out as more attractive and trustworthy lovers. Additionally, Being mindful of hygiene often reflects broader lifestyle habits, such as good grooming, healthy eating, and fitness, which contribute not only to better sexual performance, but also to overall attractiveness and desirability in a partner. And women are quick to notice these qualities and associate them with reliability and maturity. In a long-term relationship, this kind of awareness also fosters open communication, because when partners can comfortably discuss hygiene, health, and comfort, they create a foundation of honesty and mutual care that strengthens both their sexual and emotional bond. Ultimately, men who lick the vagina and demonstrate strong health and hygiene awareness are not just engaging in a sexual act. They are proving that they are attentive, respectful, and deeply invested in their partner's well-being. And this level of awareness is what makes the experience more fulfilling, more intimate, and more meaningful. Sexuality has always carried cultural, social, and even religious taboos, and for generations, many men have grown up with the belief that licking the vagina or giving oral sex to a woman is somehow shameful, unmanly, or inappropriate. But men who openly embrace this act during sex are often seen as bold, open-minded, and progressive because they challenge outdated stereotypes and prove that true intimacy goes beyond rigid norms. And in doing so, they break taboos that hold countless couples back from experiencing deeper pleasure and connection. In many cultures, male sexuality has traditionally been portrayed as dominant and self-centered, where sex is defined by penetration and the man's satisfaction, while the woman's needs are often overlooked or minimized. But men who take the time to give oral pleasure directly confront that mindset, because their actions place the woman's desire at the center of the experience, which in itself is a radical departure from the old narrative. This makes them stand out as partners who value equality, generosity, and emotional intelligence over ego or insecurity. Breaking taboos in this way also builds trust in the relationship, because when a woman sees that her partner is not held back by social stigma, she feels more free to express herself, to guide him, and to share her fantasies without fear of judgment, and this openness makes intimacy more exciting, adventurous, and fulfilling. Furthermore, men who lick the vagina are often admired for their courage because they are not afraid of what society or peers might say. Instead, they focus on what makes their relationship stronger and more satisfying, which demonstrates both confidence and maturity. Women often interpret this as a sign that their partner is modern, understanding, and truly in touch with his partner's emotional and physical needs, qualities that are highly attractive both in and out of the bedroom. On a psychological level, breaking taboos also creates a sense of liberation because it allows couples to break free from limiting beliefs and explore sex as a natural, joyful, and deeply bonding experience rather than something restricted by unnecessary rules or shame. And this liberation increases overall sexual satisfaction and strengthens the relationship. It also encourages partners to experiment further, to communicate openly, and to embrace their desires without guilt, which keeps intimacy fresh and prevents boredom in long-term relationships. Men who break taboos by engaging in oral sex are often described as adventurous because they are willing to step outside traditional boundaries and explore new ways of giving and receiving pleasure. And this adventurous spirit is one of the keys to keeping passion alive. On the other hand, men who refuse or shy away due to cultural or personal taboos often leave their partner feeling neglected, unsatisfied, or trapped in an unbalanced dynamic, which can erode intimacy over time. Therefore, by breaking this taboo, men not only redefine masculinity as something generous and open-minded, but also create healthier, happier, and more balanced relationships where both partners' needs are equally respected. In essence, licking the vagina is not just an act of pleasure. It is a statement, a declaration that intimacy should be free of unnecessary restrictions and rooted in love, trust, and mutual satisfaction. And it is precisely this courage to break taboos that makes such men stand out as some of most passionate, modern, and desirable partners a woman can have. At the end of the day, real intimacy comes from giving, not just taking. Men who lick the vagina during sex prove they are confident, generous, and truly connected to their partner. And that's exactly why they are remembered as the most passionate and satisfying lovers.